Hey there everyone, it's Ryan with the Frontline Animal Removal. Today we're going to talk about bird feeders and how they're a problem and what you can do to mitigate most of that problem or all of that problem. So the bird feeders can be entertaining to watch the birds buzzing around, but they can also create problems. So let me show you a good bird feeder setup. Here we have our bird feeder. This bird feeder is not mounted on a pole. It is suspended in midair. Now, this is suspended on an incredibly thin cable stretched between some trees. And the reason why it is suspended up off the ground is because the squirrels can't jump up and get to it. And the wire is so thin and so long, the squirrels can't climb down it to the bird feeder. So that's a good thing. The other thing that's good about this bird feeder is it's far from the house. It's far enough away that it's not attracting critters to the house. Now, I know many people enjoy watching the birds laying on the feeder, and there's no problem with that. But you're not just attracting birds. You're attracting squirrels, which most people know. You're attracting mice, which a lot of people don't think about. You could potentially attract rats. You also attract raccoons, possums, skunks, and even maybe some deer. Now, those are the typical things that will show up. Now, some of these animals you'll never see because it happens at night. But during the daytime, you'll see, of course, the squirrels and the birds. Now, what makes this a good setup is the distance from the house. So for the squirrels to get to the bird feeder, well, the only thing they can do is they can eat the stuff on the ground, which spills. And that's not as good as getting on the bird feeder because the birds are going to consume most of the feed on the bird feeder, and what the squirrels get on the ground is just scraps. So you don't get a huge population of squirrels. The distance from the house is very important. The squirrels aren't going to get onto the house and then jump from the house onto the bird feeder. And that's a good thing. Also, it's the same with the raccoons and possums and other animals. They're not associating the bird feeder with the house. Another thing that you can do is when the weather warms up, take the bird feeders down. Bird feeders there are for our enjoyment. The birds do not need us. They can forage and find plenty of food in and about our neighborhoods and in the wild with none of our help. So I only suggest putting the bird feeders up through the coldest, hardest part of the winter because that's when you'll get the most bird activity and the most enjoyment of watching the birds. And then once the leaves start to come back to the trees and the ground's no longer covered, the birds aren't as entertaining anymore because they don't stand out against the snow and they don't really need us. And doing a short interval during the winter will help prevent the raccoons, squirrels, and other animals from becoming a pest. Because if you keep your bird feeders going year round, well, now you're inviting all the wildlife year round. Just doing the bird feeders for a couple months, it's just a short burst of energy for the wild animals, and they will not habituate to coming to your house. Now, getting that bird feeder up off the ground so the squirrels can't jump to it is also beneficial when it comes to raccoons, because raccoons will climb up on bird feeders, knock them over, and eat the seed right out of it. And if you're one of those people that happen to have bears around, getting that bird feeder way up high with no ability for the bear to get to it is even more beneficial. So let me give you a quick wrap up of some of my recommendations. Don't feed year round. Just do it in the middle of the winter when there's nothing to do and you need some entertainment. Keep that bird feeder far from the house, far away as you can, and get it in such a way that only the birds can get to it. I highly recommend suspending it on a thin wire stretched between a couple trees so that the squirrels can't get to it. You got to do a pretty long run of wire. If you can't do that, get it on a high pole. Get it way up off the ground. that makes it harder for everything to get to it, because they're there for the birds, not for the squirrels and skunks and possums and raccoons. And the biggest thing you can do to prevent wild animals from becoming a nuisance is, as soon as you start having a problem with a wildlife issue around your bird feeders, take the bird feeders down. Take them down, not for a couple days, not for a couple weeks, but maybe for a few months, maybe even a year. And that may solve that wildlife issue. So those are just some of my thoughts on bird feeders. Thank you.